Welcome to the Cortex ELD driver training overview. Before we get started, I want to call your attention to two important resources. First and foremost, if you ever encounter any issues, please contact Cortex support 24 hours a day at ntamsupport@cortex.com or by phone at 888-887-0935. Additionally, we have some training resources that should prove very helpful at cortex.com/training. The first time you access this page, you'll need a username and password. Please use Learn with Cortex, no spaces, as your username, and Nugent8 as your password. This will get you to our training videos page, where on the first tab you'll see ELD driver training videos broken down into short segments and organized for quick access. We've also got some PDF resources, which are just documents that you can either print off or store electronically, including the Cortex ELD Visor card, which is a reference card that the driver will have in the cab of his vehicle. It's a laminated two-sided document that has a quick reference on the ELD app, detailed instructions on how to handle a roadside inspection, and some ELD data diagnostic and malfunction descriptions. So if there's ever a problem with the system, we will have a data diagnostics and malfunction card that will pop up on the tablet letting you know what's wrong. That guide will give you an idea of what to do with those diagnostics and malfunction events. And then probably very importantly, at the top right-hand side of that visor card is the Cortex support phone number and email address. So now that we've gone through those items, we can hop right into the tablet itself. The tablet in the cab of the truck is going to be connected to a black box that's installed underneath the dash. It will be connected by Bluetooth, so wirelessly. The tablet will be retrieving information from that black box that's required for your driver logs under the ELD mandate. So powering the tablet on will take you to this login screen. The tablet will be locked so that the driver will not have access to all the wonderful apps that they may want to access, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and others. This is a work tool, so the driver will only be using it for logging hours of service. Each driver will be required to put in a PIN. That PIN can be anywhere from 4 to 8 digits. All drivers in your organization will need to have the same PIN length. Before I log in, I do want to call your attention to the top right-hand side of the screen. Beneath the time and battery percentage, there are 3 dots. This is the Android menu. Touching it will give you quick menu options, including About, Sync, and Mobi Control. Mobi Control is the software that I'm using to remote into the tablet and that our support team may want to use to troubleshoot if you have an issue with your tablet. So I'm going to go ahead and log my PIN now. And once I do, I'll be taken to my preview availability screen. Preview availability screen is going to give me, just as it's noted here, a preview into my availability. Currently, I've got 4 hours and 41 minutes remaining on my shift. I can see the remainder of my status information by touching availability. It'll take me into a deeper dive, giving me my other remaining times available. It'll also let me know my current status, how long I've been in that status, and since when, in addition to my current rule set. I use the back arrow at the top left-hand side of the screen to go back to my preview availability screen. And what's really important on this screen is that we choose our status. If we're on duty, we want to touch on duty, and that will be our selection most of the time. Once we review our availability and choose our status, we're taken to the vehicle selection screen, where we can either choose the vehicle that we're logging into, or our organization can choose to have these tablets locked to a specific vehicle, and that vehicle will appear here. I'm going to touch Set Vehicle, and I'm given a list of the vehicles in my fleet to choose from. Once I've chosen a vehicle, I'm also given the option to add a trailer, which under ELD is required to be logged. So I'll choose Add Trailer and select the trailer in my fleet. And now I'm ready to touch Continue. Once I've chosen my vehicle and my trailer, I'll be taken to my pre-trip inspection screen. I'll need to do a pre-trip inspection for both my tractor and for my trailer. We can see that this one will be for my vehicle. My vehicle is called Steve ELD 1000. In my inspection, I've got a running clock that lets me know how much time I have taken for my inspection. For example, if you want your drivers to take 15 minutes for their inspection, I suggest that the drivers get to this screen and start their inspection, and then come back and note any issues that they found on the inspection. The version of the inspection that we're looking at now is what we call a quick complete inspection. This only requires that the driver identify a defect that he finds during his inspection, but does not have to verify that every part in the inspection sheet passes inspection. So if there is an issue, I'll need to come to the area of the vehicle where that issue can be found and touch that section of the vehicle. It'll give me a list of parts. Each part will have the option for me to check has a defect. Once I've checked that has a defect, I'll be asked to specify what defect that is. If the defect that I want is not listed here, I can actually scroll across with my finger, and if I still don't find it, I can select Other and type in the actual defect as I've seen it. For this example, I'm not going to note any defects, so I'll uncheck that box, and we can see that I've still got 0 defects in each area of my vehicle. And at any time, I can touch Complete Inspection at the top right-hand side of the screen to complete my inspection. I've also got an option to view my inspection history for this vehicle. That will give me a list of all the inspections that I've done in the last week. And it'll also give details for each one of those inspections, including who did the inspection, where the inspection was done, the amount of time taken for that inspection, and any notes that were taken. We've also got a later option, which will let me get into my dashboard and move the vehicle and note my inspection at a later time. If I choose that, there will be a card that shows up on my dashboard letting me know that I still need to do my pre-trip. I'm going to go ahead and touch Complete Inspection now for our truck. And then I'll go to my inspection summary page and note that this inspection was satisfactory. And then, of course, I'm going to have to do my trailer inspection as well. And for this example, I'm going to go ahead and touch Later. That's going to take me right into my dashboard. And just as I've mentioned, I've got a card over here in my dashboard that reminds me at all times that I have not finished my trailer pre-trip inspection. So when I'm ready to do that, I can touch Trailer 1 pre-trip, and it will take me back to my pre-trip inspection screen for my trailer, where I can note a defect. And this time I'm going to note that there is a defect, that one of my reflectors is missing. And as I do that, I can see on the left-hand side in that left section that I've got a red number 1 showing me that I have one defective part. Now I'll touch Complete Inspection, and we can see that I've got one defective item. My left reflector is missing. I'll need to identify that defects do not affect the safety or result in breakdown, and then make a note. I'm just going to type demo. And then I'm going to say that the condition of the vehicle is satisfactory. Now I'm logged into my dashboard. This will be my home screen after I've logged in. And once I get to my dashboard, I'm ready to hit the road. So I can start driving. I won't need to change my status. My status will automatically change to driving as soon as the wheels start moving. I'll see vehicle in motion, and I'll see my status change to driving. The main part of the app now, inside the dashboard, I can see my wheel of availability. I can see that it's green now, letting me know that I've got more than 3 hours of availability until my next status change, which in this instant will be the end of my shift. I can see the remainder of my availability time just like I did in our preview availability screen by touching availability. Once logged in and inside the dashboard, however, I do also have the option to request an adverse conditions exemption by touching adverse conditions and making a note regarding the reason for my request. I'm going to cancel that request, and we'll get back out to our dashboard by using the back arrow at the top left-hand side of the screen. So on the far left-hand side, we have Add Driver, which is how I would add a co-driver after the driver of the vehicle has logged in. So the person behind the steering wheel will need to log into the tablet first. The person in the passenger seat can log in by touching Add Driver after that. We won't go into detail on the co-drivers. One thing I do want to highlight, however, is that the person driving the vehicle will have a yellow steering wheel next to their current status. And the person not driving the vehicle in the passenger seat, by default, will have their availability wheel showing up over here on the top left-hand side where we see Add Driver. We can switch those drivers by touching the passenger's information and then changing their status to in charge of vehicle. On the bottom left-hand side, we have access to all the apps that are not our ELD app. That can include things like navigation, fueling apps, messaging, inspection history, forms, which is where you'll be able to find your cancel and request forms, in addition to your jobs app. I'll touch that back arrow in the top left-hand corner to get back again to my dashboard. If ever I have any issues getting back, I can always touch the physical home button here. It's the only button on the tablet. That will always take me back to my dashboard once I'm logged in. If I'm not logged in, it will actually take me to that home screen where it's requesting my PIN. So now into the important stuff here. The menu item next to my name, Test Driver, is going to give me access to not only view my logs, but make remarks on my logs or note shipments. So shipments is where I can add a manifest number, load number, ticket number, however I'm identifying my load. Remarks is where I can make a remark on my logs, something like got fuel. That will put a time and location stamp on my logs with that note showing that I got fuel at 6:29 p.m. at such and such location. But as I mentioned previously, the most important part is the driver logs themselves. I can view my logs by touching menu and then touching view logs. That will take me to the current day's logs. where I can see a summary of my day as well as a grid-based view of my driver logs. The first row is off duty, so everything in green here represents when I was off duty. The second row is sleeper berth. The third row is driving or wheels moving. And the fourth row is on duty. Using my finger to scroll up, I can see a yellow banner underneath that grid with an empty checkbox that says not certified, letting me know that I have not yet certified this day's logs. Under ELD, the driver will be required to electronically certify each 24-hour period, and that certification is stating that everything on this log is correct and accurate. We'll go over how to certify here in just a second. Underneath the certified bar, we will see the text-based version of our logs, giving us each one of our status changes. If we want to see additional information, including log-ons, shipment changes, inspections, any other info that's associated with our log, we can touch Show All Events, and that will grant us that additional detail in our text-based log. We can always toggle back and forth to showing all events and showing details at any time. I'll scroll back to the top and remind you that you'll have a week's worth of history on the tablet, and you can access previous days by touching the Previous Day button on the left-hand side of the date and time. And you can go back up to 7 days. At the top of your logs, you've got 4 options here: unidentified, certify, edit, and roadside inspection. We're going to go through each one of those now. The first item, unidentified, will highlight any unidentified driving records assigned to this vehicle. An unidentified driving record is an event where the vehicle was powered on and driven without a driver logging into the tablet. Each one of those events will show up here. In order to assign an unidentified driving event to yourself, simply check the box next to that event and touch Assign Selected to Me. Next to unidentified, we have certify. This is how we would certify our logs. If I see that this 24-hour period here is not certified, I can touch the certify button. That'll give me a prompt asking me to certify that my data entries and record of duty status for this 24-hour period are true and correct. I will touch agree, and I can see that now this log has been certified for this day. If I have certifications that I need to do, I'll have a prompt on my dashboard letting me know that there are days in the past that I have not certified. And we'll demonstrate that here in just a second, right after we show you how to edit your own logs. So under ELD, the driver has the final say on the validity of his logs. So a driver can go in at any time and edit his logs, as long as he's not removing automatically recorded drive time. That's the one restriction. If the tablet identifies that the vehicle is moving and puts you into a driving state, then that driving state cannot be edited. However, in the old days, a supervisor could make an edit to your log, and that was the final say. Now, if a supervisor makes an edit to your log, it is no longer the final say, but it is a proposed edit that gets pushed out to the tablet via an information card on the dashboard, where you'll be asked to accept or reject the proposed edits by the supervisor. So we're not going to go over the proposed edits today. but I am going to show you how to edit your logs from your tablet. So I'm going to touch Edit, and that will give me all of my statuses for this day. Since I was off duty for the entire day, there are no statuses. So I'm going to need to touch Add Status. Once I touch Add Status, it will give me a clock. I'll first need to choose the hours. I'll say 6 a.m. I need to note AM over here on the left-hand side and then touch OK. And then it's going to ask me to choose my status. I'm going to leave it at on duty. I won't need to fill in anything else unless I was on duty with the vehicle. At that point, I'll need to select my vehicle. If I'm choosing a driving or adding a driving status, I'll need to put my odometer and engine hour information in. And I also have the option to put in a shipment. But in non-driving statuses, I only need to make an annotation, which is really just a note stating why I'm editing this log. So I will say, forgot log in. Now I'm using the keypad on my laptop since I'm logged in here remotely, but the driver would be able to use the touchpad that pops up as you select on the tablet. Once I've made my annotation, I'll need to scroll up and touch OK, and I can now see my off-duty to on-duty at 6 a.m. I'm going to add an end to that status, so I'm going to add another status by touching Add Status. And I'm going to say that I was on duty from 6 a.m. to 9:37 a.m. That's when I took my off duty. And I'll make my annotation here. Once you've typed in a word, they'll show up here in your autocomplete. So I can just touch each one of those and have it show up there in my annotation. Oops. Bear with me here, folks. All right. Once I've made my note, I swipe up again and touch OK. And I can see that I've got both my log on to on duty and my log off. So now that I've created both the beginning and end of my status, I can touch Finish. And my log has been adjusted. I can see my on-duty time in the grid. And when I scroll up, I can see my statuses here in the text-based log. If ever I wanted to change one of those notes, I can touch Edit again, and I can edit my log on time or my log off time or my status itself by touching the pencil next to the status that I want to change. So in this example, I'm going to change my log off time from 9:37 a.m. to 10:37 a.m. I'll leave the annotation the way it is, and I'll touch OK. Once again, I'll need to touch Finish, and that has adjusted my duty time for the day. Now that I've edited my logs, I'm going to touch the physical home button, and that'll take me back to the dashboard. And we can see that I've got some notification cards here now. When I logged on and edited my logs, there were some missing data elements. I can touch missing data elements and that will take me to the log where there's missing information, and I can scroll up to see the area that I'm missing data. There should be a note there in yellow that says tap to resolve missing data, and it will let me know what's missing on my log. So they need a location. I'm going to type in PA, and that'll just give me a note for my location, and I'm good to go now. I'll touch the physical home button again. That'll get me to my dashboard. And since I changed the log on a day that I had already certified, I'm going to be asked to recertify that day. And my certify logs card has popped up on the top right-hand side of my dashboard. So I'll touch certify logs. It'll take me back to the day that I need to certify. And I'll do that by simply touching certify above the log. And I'll be asked to certify that my data entries in my record of duty status for this 24-hour period are true and correct again. And I'll agree, removing that card from my dashboard. All right, so back into our logs. One more important thing we need to review. Anytime there's a roadside inspection or a DOT stop, I'll need to initiate that in my logs by going into my log and touching roadside inspection. This is going to pull up a screen that has all the information that the DOT officer will need during my stop, as well as my logs in both the grid and text-based format. On this screen, the DOT officer can access unidentified driving information, DVIR history, but he can also ask that we transfer data by touching data transfer. That will have a card that pops up and asks you to export your logs and your roadside inspection screen, either by web service or email, which will be relayed to you by the DOT officer, as well as a comment, which will typically be the DOT officer's badge number. This information will allow him to retrieve your logs from the FMCSA servers. So basically, when we click send, it will send our information to the FMCSA servers, and that officer will be able to retrieve them from his vehicle or station. Once the inspection is over, I'll need to touch End Inspection, and that'll take me back into my standard log view. Begin roadside inspection and end inspection are both events that we can send notifications for. So we can send an email or a text message to your supervisor letting you know the roadside inspection has started and the roadside inspection has ended. In addition, a driver can email his logs to himself by touching the Android menu inside the logs and then touching email logs. This will give you a date range to choose for your logs, and clicking send will send a PDF version of your logs to the email address that we have on file for you, the driver. So when you're set up initially in the system, your supervisor may ask you for your email address, and that is why. Because the email address that he notes in the system is the email that will receive your logs when requested from the tablet. We'll go right back to the dashboard, where now we will talk about the top menu up here. We have vehicle trailer as an option to touch. This will allow us to add or drop a trailer at any time, as well as change vehicle if we're able to take our tablet from one vehicle into another vehicle. So if we log out of one vehicle and into another vehicle, we can do that here. But most commonly, we're going to be adding and dropping trailers from this screen. So to drop a trailer, I touch that trailer and click Save. And that's automatically going to populate my post-trip inspection for that trailer, which, again, my quick complete inspection, all I need to do is touch complete inspection. I won't need to identify that all parts are functional, just the defects. No defects, so I'm going to touch satisfactory. That will take me back into my dashboard where I can see at the top left-hand side that only my truck is now listed, Steve ELD 1000. The trailer is gone. Before we sign out, the last thing I'll review is the report button. Anytime there's an issue with your tablet or with the ELD system, in the event that you get a malfunction notification card that pops up here with a red banner, before you contact the support team, you should hit report. That will send all the logs for the tablet to our support team so that they have them and they can look at the diagnostics. You'll just need to type a note here, noting what the problem is. I'm just going to type demo issue. I will just type demo since my keyboard is acting up. And then I'll touch submit. That'll send all that information to our support team. I can now call support. One of the first things they're going to ask is, did you hit the report button on your tablet? So now that we've gone over all that information, I'm going to touch sign out user. That will begin my sign out process where I'll review my name and touch sign out. I'm going to be asked to confirm my duty status. I can either leave the vehicle and stay on duty or change to off duty as I leave the vehicle. I'm going to select change to off duty. And then I'm taken to my sign-in screen. So that's our complete process, cradle to grave, logging into the tablet and the general tour. As I mentioned earlier, please be sure to visit the training resources page at cortex.com/training. Take a look at the videos that we've got there. Run through the documents that we've got available. Those can be good resource and reference documents to keep in the cab of the vehicle or in the office. And then also, don't hesitate to call our support team if there's an issue. Thanks for paying attention today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and drive safe.